match number 2, we go now over in the Champions League, with some clubs looking to make it 2 wins on the bloody bounce to assert their dominance at the top of the table. But who will it be? We're going to get into that much more next. That's right, folks, back once again with another video today. It is match number 2 over in the Champions League, and we'll get to it in a second. If you're new, where you've been, hit the old subscribe. You want to subscribe for Blackburn Rovers, Champions League. Whoa, football, we're going to all hear under one Ruski. That's right. Currently, at the top of the table, we are seeing the likes of Liverpool, of course, with that massive last gap winner over Atletico Madrid last time around. Can they make it 2 wins out of 2? Well, we'll showcase you that and more in a second. Big shout out to the members and the patrons. You know who you are. But anyway, let's get cracking and recap what went on last time around. Of course, it is the Champions League. And of course, we had some cracking results, cracking games, cracking drama last time around. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this, of course. We're going to showcase you what went down in the last round of games by, of course, reviewing my picks. That's right, starting with Athletic Bilbao up against Arsenal. Ended up being a 2-0 win for Arsenal. Quite a convincing win for them. I went the other way. Meanwhile, Saint-Gilloise picking up a cheeky 3-1 away win over PSV. Again, got that one wrong. Real Madrid with a 2-1 win over Marseille. I went with a 3-1 win. Look at this one. Goals fast at Turin. 4-4 in the end. I went with a 2-0 win. Absolute shambles. Meanwhile, Qarabag lost the man his job, and Bruno Lager is no more. Jose, the special one, is now in. 3-2 win. I went the other way. Spurs did beat Villarreal, just the 1-0. I went with a 2-0 win. Slavia Prague and Bodo Glimt, 2-2 scoreline. I went with the 1-1. Olympiacos and Paphos in the old Mediterranean there. 0-0 final scoreline. Bayern did beat Chelsea 3-1. Got that one spot on. Internazionale with a 2-0 away win against Ajax. Liverpool, like I said, did beat Atletico Madrid 3-2. PSG with a 4-0 win over Atalanta. Again, I went with a 4-2 win. Copenhagen did draw with Bayern Leverkusen 2-2. On with a 2-1. Club Brugge with a 3-1 over Monaco. Again, one with a score draw there. Newcastle United with a 2-1 win over Newcastle United with a 2-1 loss against Barcelona with a 3-1 loss. Manchester City also picked up a win, 2-0 win over Napoli. Frankfurt with a 5-1 win over Galatasaray. I went with the 2-0 win. And Sporting did beat Kairat 4-1 after a bit of a nervy start to the match. So that is mine. This is, of course, the table as we look at it right now. Atalanta struggling. Galatasaray, Ajax, Napoli, of course. Chelsea are down there, of course. But at the top of the table is Frankfurt, PSG, Club Brugge, Sporting Lisbon, Saint-Gilloise, Bayern Munich, Arsenal, and Internazionale. That's right. If the season was, or this tournament was to end the league phase now, this is what we're looking at. These guys would make it through to the first round proper. These guys here will then have to duke it out to, of course, join them in those playoffs and, of course, continuing their journey. Alrighty then, folks, into match number 2 we go. And, of course, we got a stacked fixture list up around the corner. It all kicks off this coming Tuesday, so let's get cracking and have a look what we're talking about. We're talking about this one first. It's Kairat. It's Real Madrid on the 30th of September at the Central Stadium. Rafael Uzbatun is the coach there for Kairat. They're coming into this 33rd in the table up against Real Madrid, who are 13th right now, of course, opening up with a win in their first match round. Of course, yet to take it on each other, but Real Madrid are still, they're licking their wounds after their first defeat in La Liga, losing at Atletico Madrid 5-2 goal fest. In fact, the last 2 matches Real Madrid have played, there's been 7, 8, 10, 20, 12 goals scored by either end. So you can expect a lot of drama for Real Madrid as they're licking their wounds. Meanwhile, Kairat also on the back of that 3-1 over Zenit. Again, these two sides yet to take on each other, but it will be an interesting game. Don't get me wrong, Kairat will be very cautious, parking the bus perhaps, maybe frustrate Real Madrid, but unfortunately they will lose it in the end. I've gone with a 2-0 win. Again, it could be much more than that. I've just been a little bit timid with the scorelines on this one. Let's go to Atalanta as they take on Club Brugge. Also, same day, that's the 30th, at the Guise Stadium. Even Jurdic's boys just 1 defeat for the last 6 for them. They currently find themselves bottom of the pile here in the league structure in the Champions League. Up against Club Brugge, who are 3rd, 3 points, just 1 defeat in the last 6. Now, these two clubs have played against each other since in the last year. It was in the Champions League back in February 2025, maybe in the old playoff phase last time. Club Brugge winning both of them, including a win when they played in Italy. 3-1 win as it was back in February. Atalanta on the back of that 1-1 scoreline away to Juventus. Club Brugge picking up a away win against Standard Liège in the Juniper top flight there. Look at this, 5-5 scoreline not too long ago for Club Brugge. Also, lots of goals, lots of drama. They are one of the best in the business, of course. So, we got odds here. The odds go in favour of Atalanta. I think I'm also leaning towards them to nick it. 2-1 winners at home at the Guise Stadium. We'll see if we're right or wrong. Paphos, they're taking on Bayern Munich, that's right, at the Stelios Krakakidis. Paphos under Juan Carlos Casado. 21st right now. They opened up their account with a draw. They just lost once in the last 6 up against Bayern. Vinny Company's boys are 6 right now. 3 points for them. They've won 6 on the bounce in all shapes and all sizes. They took on Bremen this past weekend, pick up a 4-0 win. for them. They've scored 8 goals in the last 2 games combined. Up against Paphos, picking up a 2-1 win over Olympiacos Nicosia. It is in Paphos. They are the underdogs massively. Bayern should win this game. Gone with a 3-0 win. It could again be more than that. We'll see. Meanwhile, we're going to go to Chelsea as they take on Benfica. Of course, Jose Mourinho's returned to Stamford Bridge. Of course, the chosen one, the special one, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, Chelsea have taken on Benfica 5 times in 2005. They won all 5 of them, but they're coming into this in 28th spot with no points so far. Just 1 win in the last 5 for Marquesca's boys. Bit of a test now to see the loyalty with the ownership and the coach. Bit of a bad bit of form right now up against Benfica under Jose Mourinho. Just 1 defeat in the last 6. Of course, that 1 defeat was Bruno Laga's last. They sit 24th right now coming into this. They last played, of course, over at Stamford Bridge. It was a 2-1 win for Chelsea back in April 2012. Chelsea losing to Brighton most recently. Of course, they had a bit of a sticky one against Lincoln in the Cup. They got through that. Benfica, though, on the back of that 2-1 win over Vicente Barcelos to make their first win second win for Jose Mourinho. Chelsea are favourites for this game. Benfica, of course, it is the return of the prodigal son. I'm a bit of a romantic at heart. I think he's going to get something out of this one against his old boys. I think he will not want to lose that game. Meanwhile, International taking on Slavia Prague, coming at the Giuseppe Meazza. Christian Chubu's boys are 7th right now, 3 points for them. They've won 3 on the bounce. Taking on Slavia Prague, managed by Jindřich Trpikovský, who are 19th right now, unbeaten at least the last 19 matches, of course. But they have played twice since 2019, 1 for Inter, nothing for Slavia Prague. There's been 1 draw. They last played in Italy. It was a draw back in September 2019, 1-1 scoreline. Meanwhile, Inter on the back of that 2-0 win over Cagliari. That was over in Serie A. Slavia Prague picking up a 2-0 win over Dunkla Prague to make it back-to-back wins, back-to-back clean sheets, of course. Bookies for this one, they'll go with Inter. They should do. I am as well. 3-0 win. You got to expect it from those guys. Meanwhile, Galatasaray taking on Liverpool, coming at you over at the Rams Park. Ukan Budic's boys are 35th, just 1 defeat in the last 6. Up against Liverpool under Arne Slot, also 1 defeat in the last 6. They sit 11th, of course. Now, they played 4 times since 2003. Galatasaray have actually won 3 of them. Liverpool just the once. They last played competitively in Turkey. It was a 3-2 win for Galatasaray way back in December 2006. Galatasaray on the back of that 1-0 win about Allianz Sport in their domestic top flight. As for Liverpool losing 2-1 to Crystal Palace, goodness gracious me. Their first defeat in the season, goodness. Meanwhile, coming into this, the bookies' odds, they'll go with Liverpool. Of course they will. I don't know if it's that simple. I have gone Liverpool, but it's a tight game. It might be a draw, I think. I don't think Liverpool will lose it. They'll bounce back. They'll want to score the setup from the weekend loss against Crystal Palace. Meanwhile, Atletico Madrid taking on Frankfurt, the Rio de Metropolitano. Atletico under Diego Simeone, just 1 defeat in the last 6. I'm 67% form for them right now. Up against Frankfurt under Dino Topola, 2 defeats, 2 wins over the last 4 matches. Yet to take on each other, but Real Madrid are on the back. Atletico Madrid are on the back of that win over Real Madrid to make it back-to-back home with their 3rd home match on the bounce. Up against Frankfurt on the back of that a 10-goal thriller themselves, beating Mönchengladbach 6-4. Goodness gracious me! If you look at those last 2 matches, in fact, let's open up the last 3 matches Frankfurt have been playing in. They've got 10, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23 goals scored either end in the last 3 matches. Good, that's over. So around about 7 or 8 goals a match. They're playing badass madhouse football, but they're expected to lose this game. I think Madrid should win it. I've gone with more goals here, 6 goals in it. So along the same lines, alongside the trend, that is. Those two probably going to be a boring 0-0 you watch. Meanwhile, Marseille, they're taking on Ajax, coming at you over at the Orange Velodrome. Marseille under Roberto De Zerbi. They won 3 of the last 4. They sit 25th, though, in this league with no points. Up against Ajax under John Hetanga. They are 30th, just 1 defeat in the last 6. They've taken on Marseille 5 times in 2009. 2 wins for Marseille. Nothing for Ajax. Has been 3 draws. They last played in France. It was a 4-3 win back in November 2023. Marseille on the back of that 2-1 win over Strasbourg. Ajax beating Breda, both in their domestic top flights. This one's tight one. Should go in favour of Marseille, though. Ajax, I'm not too sure about them right now under Hetanga. I think they're still a bit of a mystery. Meanwhile, Bodo Glimt taking on Tottenham Hotspur, coming at you over in Norway at the Aspmyr Stadion. Bodo Glimt managed by Knajo Knutsen. They've won unbeaten the last 5 against Spurs under Thomas Frank. Also unbeaten the last 5. Both sides 67% form, kind of identical form. And they played each other twice since 2025. Spurs winning both of them, of course, including a win in this same venue. 2-0 winners in the semi-finals of the Europa League back in May 2025. So this will be the 3rd time they played this year. Meanwhile, Bodo Glimt on the back of that 3-1 win over Odd in the domestic top flight, actually in the Norwegian Cup. Spurs picking up a 1-1 draw at home to Wolves just last night. I think they're still favoured here. Tottenham, I don't know, I think we could see a bit of an upset. I've gone with a 2-2 once again. Both sides are got a good bit of form right now, and I just, but are going to be at home. I don't think they're going to lose. I think they'll either win it or they'll draw it. Meanwhile, Qarabag against Copenhagen. This is coming at you on Wednesday, the 1st of October. Gubenov, the coolest name in town. They sit 10th right now, unbeaten the last 5. They won 3 on the bounce. Up against Copenhagen under Jakob Nistrup. They are 19th, just one defeat also in the last 6. They've taken on each other twice in 2017, and 1 win apiece, including a win for Qarabag when they last played at this venue back in August 2017. Qarabag on the back of a 2-0 win over Galbala. They've won back-to-back. They've back-to-back clean sheets as well. Taking on Copenhagen side, also picking up back-to-back away wins. So looking for their 3rd away win on the spin here. A tight one. Bookies just about give it to Copenhagen. I think Qarabag will nick it here. 3-1 win. Of course, they got the tails up from their first game, so they'll look to make it back-to-back. Saint-Gilloise taking on Newcastle. That's right. Coming at you at the Stade Joseph Marianne. Saint-Gilloise managed by Sebastian Pognoli. They sit 5th with 3 points, 5 wins on the bounce. Up against Newcastle under Eddie Howe, just 1 defeat in the last 5. They sit 26th. Never played each other, these two sides. You Saint-Gilloise on the back of a 2-0 win over Westerlo. They are now fully focused for this game. However, the Geordies are still waiting to play their match, taking on Arsenal at home on this one. Bookies odds, they'll give it to Newcastle. I don't know about that. I'm going to go with a 2-2. It might even be a 2-1 as well. Again, unsure about Newcastle. I think more likely Saint-Gilloise will win this game. So keep an eye on that at home. Dortmund, they're taking on Bilbao, coming over at the Signal Iduna Park. Dortmund under Niko Kovac, they sit 15th right now. Unbeaten at least the last 7 matches. They've won 4 of the last 5. Up against Bilbao and Ernesto Valverde. Bit of a changing of the mentality here. They are struggling. First time I've seen it in a long time for Bilbao. 6 defeats, 5 defeats in the last 6. They're winners in the last 6. They have played Dortmund a couple of times. They have both been friendlies. Bilbao did lose to Villarreal most recently and only scored 1 goal in the last 6 games. Bilbao, very, very bad form. As for Dortmund, back-to-back wins, back-to-back clean sheets. They're expected to win this game. What have I got? A 3-1 win. Yes, I have. So I've given Bilbao at least a goal, but it's possible that he could be out on his ear come international break. Meanwhile, Barcelona taking on PSG. What a game this is. Coming at the Estadio Olympic Luis Company's Barcelona Hansi Flick. They're 12th right now. 3 points for them. Unbeaten in at least the last 12. Up against PSG. Luis Enrique. They sit 2nd with 3 points, of course. They played each other 13 times. So 2012, 6 wins Barcelona, 4 wins PSG, 3 draws. They last played at this venue. It was a 4-1 win for PSG way back in April 2024. Barcelona, they're picking up a 3-1 win over Oviedo. They're taking on Sociedad today. PSG picking up a 2-0 win over Orsea. They're taking on, they're fully focused for this game. Bookies giving to Barcelona. I've gone mad on this one. I've gone absolutely bonkers. I think I've gone with a 4-4 thriller. No, 3-3 thriller. That's right. Drama, lots of action. And of course, they'll both come out of it with something to say. Meanwhile, sticking in with the French team, we're going to go to Monaco. They're taking on Manchester City. I want to say French. Monaco is, of course, a country on its own. But it's coming at the Stade Louis II. Monaco under Adi Hüttler. They sit 33rd right now. 2 defeats in the last 3. Up against Man City, unbeaten in the last 5. And, of course, taking on Monaco twice in 2017. Both sides picked up a win. Monaco did win last time they played at this venue. 3-1 win as it was back in March 2017. Monaco on the back of that 3-1 loss to Lorient. Man City put 5 past Burnley most recently. But the bookies' odds for this one, they'll go with Man City. I think I'm also leaning that way. 2-1 winners, not that impressive, but enough to, of course, silence the doubters. Meanwhile, Leverkusen taking on PSV Eindhoven at the Bay Arena. Kasper Hulsman's boys are unbeaten in the last 5. However, drawn 3 of that last 5. Up against PSV under Peter Boaz, just 1 defeat in the last 4 for them. And, of course, both sides come into this without winning their first match. Leverkusen on the back of a 2-1 win over St. Pauli. They are unbeaten, though, in the last 5. Up against PSV, who picked up a 2-1 win over Excelsior. Leverkusen under Hulsman, they might win this game. I think they'll come out of this with something. I've gone with a 2-0 win. PSV, I'm not too sure at the moment their capabilities. And into the final 3 is Arsenal taking on Olympiacos, coming over at the Emirates Stadium. Mikel Arteta's boys are 7th. They have just lost 1 to the last 6 against Olympiacos under Jois Mandalbar. They sit 21st, but they're coming into on the back of a draw in their first round of matches in this Champions League. These two clubs are familiar opponents. They played 12 times in 2009, 6 wins apiece. And the last played at London, it was a 1-0 win for Olympiacos way back in March 2021. In fact, the home side hasn't won this game in a long, long time. They played quite a lot of games. The last time, 2, 4, 6, 7 games ago was when Olympiacos beat Arsenal at home. So previous record has been the away side getting the W. Arsenal on the back of that 2-0 win over Port Vale. They're taking on Newcastle tonight. Olympiacos with a 3-2 win over Leverkusen in the Superliga over in Greece. Gone with the Arsenal victory here. Gone big as well. 4-1 win against that nonsense stuff I just talked about in the end. Villarreal out of Spain. They're taking on Juventus coming at you over at the Estadio del Salamanca. Marcelina's boys are yet to get going in this. Of course, 27th right now. 3 wins on the spin, though, in all competitions. Meanwhile, Juventus, 16th. Of course, 3 draws on the spin. They've taken on Villarreal 3 times since 2009. 2 wins Villarreal, nothing for Juventus. There's been 1 draw. They last played at this venue. It was that 1-1 scoreline way back in February 2022. Villarreal picking up a 1-0 win over Bilbao. Meanwhile, Juventus on the back of 3 successive draws, drawing with Dortmund, drawing with Verona, and then drawing with Atalanta this past weekend in Italy. The odds for this one, tight. Villarreal just about edge it. I'm gone with a 2-2 scoreline right down the middle to continue that draw streak from Juventus. And then finally, we stay in Italy. It's Napoli. It's Sporting Lisbon. It's coming to show the Stadio Diego Maradona with Napoli under Antonio Conte, 30th right now. Of course, defeat opening day. 5 wins previously, though, up against Sporting Lisbon and Rui Boras, who are 3rd with 3 points. These 2 sides yet to take on each other, according to my data. Sporting Lisbon on the back of that 1-0 win over Estoril to get back-to-back clean sheets. Napoli with a 3-2 win over Pizza, but they're taking on Milan today in the, of course, top flight in Italy. Bookies odds will give it to Napoli. They should win this game, but it's going to be a tight game. 2-1 win, not much in it. But if I'm right, this is what the table will look like coming out of match number 2. It will be at the bottom, Kairat, Galatasaray, Bilbao, PSV, Ajax, Paphos, Olympiacos, and co. At the top, it'll be Bayern, Arsenal, Inter, Qarabag, Man City, Real Madrid, and Liverpool, and PSG joining them, of course. But of course, that's just my take on it, guys. Make sure you get your own take on it, and of course, in the comments down below. We'll look forward to seeing you when we return for match number 3. But until then, see you soon. Subscribe, smash the like. I'll catch you later. I'm out.